this is also an indication that we have to make ourselves the most beautiful of character also. Otherwise there would be an inconsistency. And to backtrack even on making us beautiful, this is because human beings, they can be a little superficial, to be honest. Human beings, we can be a little superficial. It's actually from, when you study certain sections on Aqidah, it's from the Lawazim al-Nubuwa, it's from the necessities of prophethood. For example, as-sidq, wal-aman, these type of things are necessary for a prophet. That they have to be honest, they have to be trustworthy, they have isma, they are protected from Allah, they're sinless, they don't openly commit sins, or privately for that matter. They don't intentionally perform sins. These are all things that we study in Aqidah, in our beliefs as Muslims, that we have to have these preconditions of prophethood. You know, one of the things listed as a precondition of prophethood is that they are free from uyub. They don't have any physical defects. That they have to also physically be exceptional. Now again, we've already established it's not to put down other people, let's say, who don't have those same physical gifts. Because we've already established, ala al-itlaq, that human beings are absolutely the most beautiful creation. They're beautiful. Every last human being is beautiful. That's already been established. But then there are those who are exceptionally beautiful. And one of the wisdoms why the ulama mention that this is a precondition for prophethood is that the anbiya had to be made free of any physical flaws and defects, is because there could be no reason for a person to refuse the message. There could be no reason for a person on the Day of Judgment that they could come and say, oh Allah, I couldn't listen to his message. There was something I just couldn't stand how they were. And I think we know this even from experience, that when someone has exceptional beauty, they seem more believable. And if that's the case, right, you have someone come up to you, mashallah, they speak well, they're intelligent, extremely handsome, well-dressed, everything about them is at least outwardly correct. They seem a bit more believable, even if they're completely just lying to you. So, if that's the case with someone who's actually honest and trustworthy, and coming with a message that is from Allah, what would be the excuse of a person that they can say that we're not going to believe him? Everything was made so that a person would be able to accept the message. And this is again one of the wisdoms why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in general made the human being the most beautiful, is because they had to also be the best of creation inwardly too. That they would excel even above the angels. أُولَٰئِكَ هُمْ خَيْرُ الْبَرِيَّةِ. As Allah ta'ala mentions in Surah Al-Bayyinah, one of the meanings of this, the bariyah is the yani al-khalq. They're the best of all creation, the people who believe and do good deeds, the human beings. That Allah will even elevate them above the angels. So then, there will be no excuse for them to reject that message. So when you look at even our Prophet ﷺ, he was the most beautiful, even physically. His physical attributes were also the most beautiful of all creation. His handsomeness was exceptional. I shared the hadith about Jabir ibn Samra radiallahu anhu, who he said that رأيت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في ليلة إضحيان. يعني الإضحيان من الأيام ليس فيه غيم. It's a very clear day. And this meaning ليلة إضحيان, a very clear night. I saw him on a clear night. وعليه حلة حمراء. And he was wearing a red cloak. فجعلت أنظر إليه وإلى القمر فله عندي أحسن من القمر. So I began to look at him, and I was looking at the moon. He was looking back and forth, at the face of the Prophet ﷺ and at the moon on a very clear night with no clouds. And then he would look again at the Prophet ﷺ and he would look at the moon. And he would look at the Prophet ﷺ and he would look at the moon. And he says, by Allah, he was more handsome than the moon, more beautiful. And again, we've already established that the human being is the most beautiful of Allah's creation. But not even like apparently, sometimes you'll look at a very beautiful scene and you marvel at its beauty. Even in this case of exceptional beauty of something from the creation, he said the Prophet ﷺ was even more beautiful than that. We also know the famous stanza of the companion Hassan ibn Thabit radiallahu anhu. He was, you can say, the poet of the Prophet ﷺ. So if people used to try to insult the Prophet ﷺ, which was the habit at that time, people used to insult and praise each other through words. So Hassan ibn Thabit was famous for his eloquence. And if anyone used to say something about the Prophet ﷺ, he used to defend him and defend his honor also with words. So he said the famous stanza, وَأَحْسَنَ مِنْكَ لَمْ تَرَقَتُ عَيْنٌ وَأَجْمَلَ مِنْكَ لَمْ تَلَدِ النِّسَاءُ خُلِقْتَ مُبَرَّأً مِنْ كُلِّ عَيْبٍ كَأَنَّكَ قَدْ خُلِقْتَ كَمَا تَشَاءُ. He said about the Prophet ﷺ, and sometimes people, they think that these words and these words of praise are almost inappropriate, or they're too hyperbolic, and people can get carried away if they say this. And they've unfortunately tried to criticize works of great scholars who have written poems of praise of the Prophet ﷺ, saying this is ghulu, this is overdoing it. Yet they can't deny, when you look at what was written even from the Sahaba, this narration of praise of the Prophet ﷺ by Hassan ibn Thabit, this is just one stanza. It's a lengthy hadith also. And there's other narrations that are mentioned by Imam Muslim in his Sahih that describe how beautiful he was, how handsome he was, how exceptional he was. So he states that more beautiful than you no eye has ever seen. And more beautiful than you no woman has ever given birth to. You've been created free of all blemishes. It was as if you were created as if you wanted to. As if you simulated exactly how you wanted to look. Imagine if you had the chance to completely design how you would look. Actually, people do that nowadays, don't they? Instagram with all the filters, you can fix however you want to look. Now they have AI creations. You can create an AI type of characters now, and you can make them look exactly how you'd look. They have all these influencers now who are AI. They're not even real people. People think they're real. They follow them. They look at their content. They consume their content. And they're all fake. Now imagine now you can create your own person. This is how the Prophet ﷺ looked. It's as if you were created exactly how you wanted to be. So he was exceptional even in his physical appearance. Why? Because there had to be a consistency with his physical appearance and his inward reality also. That he was not only going to be the most beautiful in his appearance, but it was going to match. That when you have also the most superior character, it's almost like having the best of both worlds. That he had the most superior character, but he also had the most superior beauty. So these were all things that we learn have a connection, even in this dua that we recited. That, oh Allah, just as you have made our physical appearance beautiful, we also ask that you make our character beautiful. So that there's a consistency, because He's already made us beautiful. If this is then like what Allah has done for us, that He's honored us to be in the best of forms, then we have to also do our part and beautify our character. Otherwise, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He could have made us a donkey. He could have made us a cockroach. He could have made us a dung beetle. There's a number of things that we could have been. Allah Azza wa Jal, He honored us to be in the best of forms. He's given us stature that we stand and walk upright. We don't walk like apes, hunched over. or we're not like snakes who have to slither on their bellies in order to get from place to place. This is also a tashrif, and this is a takreem that Allah has honored the human being, that they walk upright. The only creature that walks upright, as an honor. And that's why we actually in the prayer, in order to now submit to ourselves to prevent it from getting to our heads and becoming arrogant, we place our foreheads on the ground. We make sajda. We make ruku and we bow to Allah. We break that uprightness which He gave us and we bow to Allah. He gave us that uprightness so that we can break it. He honored us so that we can then honor Him. All of that was, that beauty of the physical was simply so we can make ourselves beautiful inwardly also. And there can be a consistency there. So the Prophet ﷺ, he also showed us that he developed his character. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually first started with His own divine providence, that he would be raised in a way that he would become the most humble of human beings, that he would become the most excellent in his character. It's hard to be arrogant when you come from humble beginnings. So it started from his very birth, as he was born an orphan. And there's a number of things that we can speak about. But one thing I wanted to focus on is as he got older, as he started to become old enough to do work, he went and also worked. So there's a hadith that Imam Bukhari rahimahullah narrates in his Sahih, and he says, مَا بَعَثَ اللَّهُ نَبِيًّا إِلَّا وَرَعَى الْغَنَمِ, that the Prophet, or that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never sent a prophet except that they were a shepherd tending to sheep. Except that they were a shepherd tending to sheep. وَأَنْتَ يَا رَسُولُ اللَّهِ. So the companions, they responded by asking, even you, O Messenger of Allah, you are also a shepherd? Right? It seemed like a very kind of a humble job. It's like shoveling snow off a driveway. You start getting old enough, you don't just ask your dad anymore, your mom, can I have some money? You go and you earn your money. You have, mashallah, a beautiful home, you have everything you need. You don't need to work, but why are you still going to take handouts? Go if you're old enough and see if you can't earn something for yourself now. Learn this concept of hard work and humility, that you're the one who's going to wake up early and sacrifice your sleep and your comfort, and you go shovel a driveway and they pay you $10, $5, $20, whatever they pay you. So the Prophet ﷺ said, even I used to نعم كنت أرعاها على قراريط لأهل مكة. He said, yes, I too used to be a shepherd, and I used to herd sheep for a few qararit, which is a part of a dinar and a dirham. These are like, it's not even a dirham. It's not even a dirham. It's a part of it, like not even $1, it's just a few cents. Right? You have cents and then you have $1, it's just parts of $1. He used to do this, and this was a part of his divine providence, that he would be raised now with certain qualities and sifat that would help him become the best of all creation. He became patient. You have to have sabr, you have to have patience. This is a part of the character that we refer to when we speak about his amazing character. He was patient. We mentioned the hadith earlier during the khutbah where a person spoke to him very harshly and very rudely. A Bedouin came. And while all the other companions were ready to put hands on him, the Prophet ﷺ remained humble. He remained patient. And he treated this person kindly and with compassion until he won him over with his good character. So you have to learn this type of patience. Where do you learn that? Try raising animals who don't listen to you. Nowadays, try taking care of young kids who won't listen to you. And it instills humility. You have to learn how to appreciate their innocence, as animals too are innocent. They don't know better. One Sayyidina MUSA alayhi salam, actually, he was Kalimullah. He used to speak to Allah. And he once, Imam Abu Layth al-Samarqandi rahimahullah, he mentions in his Tanbihul Ghafilin the story of Musa alayhi salam, where he asked Allah, بِمَا اصْطَفَيْتَنِي عَلَى النُّبُوَّةِ عَلَى الرِّسَالَةِ. He said, oh Allah, why did you choose me to become a prophet? And Allah Azza wa Jalla revealed to him. He said that when you used to be a shepherd taking care of sheep. There was one sheep that ran away from the flock. He was fast and stubborn. And you had to chase the sheep all over the area until you were finally able to grab him. And when you finally got the sheep, you actually pulled the sheep close to you and you hugged it. And you told the sheep, why are you running? You're making me tired and you're making yourself tired. And all I'm trying to do is help you and protect you from the wolves. I'm just trying to help you, save you from the wolves, because the lone sheep will get eaten. If he were to wander off on its own, it would die. So here's this sheep running around, not even knowing what's good for itself, tiring itself out and tiring out Musa. But Musa, because of his shafaqah, because of his compassion and his rahmah and his mercy, he didn't even want to allow one sheep to get away. So he got the sheep, pulled it close, and showed love and compassion to a sheep. Allah said, because of this, I chose you to be a prophet. This is a reason why Allah chose him to be a prophet. So these are the type of things you learn through simple tasks, which are essential to be a person then who will be a leader, who will be tasked with the guidance of all of humanity. So patience, humility, courage. Through being a shepherd, you learn shaja'ah, you learn how to be brave, that you're the one who has to actually fight off wild animals when they do come to attack the flock. You have to fend them off. And you learn this shafaqah and rahmah and this mercy and compassion. It was also something that he did out of, again, responsibility. When he was at this age, he was being cared for by his uncle Abu Talib. So I mentioned his father dies before he was born. He was an orphan. His mother would die when he was 6. And then his grandfather would pass away when he was 8. So he went through a lot, he suffered a lot, went through a lot of loss. Those of us youngsters here, we know how much we love our parents. If you lost your parents, maybe some of us have lost our parents and we know how that feels. The Prophet ﷺ experienced that. If anyone had to experience it, then know that you shared something with the Prophet ﷺ. And then as an 8-year-old, even after losing his mother and his father and then being taken care of by his grandfather, even his grandfather then at the age of 8, whom he loved, would pass away when he was at the age of 8. His uncle Abu Talib would then take custody of him at the age of 8. Abu Talib wasn't very wealthy. He didn't have much. And as a matter of fact, as the Prophet ﷺ got older, when Sayyidina Ali was born, he was much younger than the Prophet ﷺ. But he was the son of Abu Talib, and they were first cousins. But they were perhaps 30 years apart or so. When Ali was born, the Prophet ﷺ actually took him into his household and raised him so that he can help lessen the burden on Abu Talib, who was already older at that time and also wasn't so financially well off, to help relieve that burden. So the Prophet ﷺ was being cared for by Abu Talib. So he himself went to go earn so that he wouldn't have to be so much of a burden also on his uncle. This was another type of characteristic that he would now develop of how to be responsible. And the Prophet ﷺ would later on praise this type of earnings. مَا أَكَلَ أَحَدٌ طَعَامًا قَطُّ خَيْرًا مِنْ أَنْ يَأْكُلَ مِنْ عَمَلِيَّتِهِ. That the Prophet ﷺ said that a person has never eaten any food better than that which he has earned from his own hand. Then you worked for something and then you purchased that with your own food, with your own wealth rather, and you eat that food. The Prophet ﷺ said this is the best morsel of food that you can eat, is that whatever you earn with your own hand. So this was a part of what the Prophet ﷺ, also how he would develop his character, so then there would be a consistency with that character and that beauty. As Allah Azza wa Jal created him in the best forms, created human beings in the best forms, and then made him the most beautiful of all the creation. There's another incident that I wanted to share regarding his humility and his care and compassion that he had. So in one narration now, as he's a prophet, there was one companion by the name of Tufail ad-Dawsi, Tufail ibn Amr ad-Dawsi. He had accepted Islam and he sought permission to go back to invite his people towards Islam also. Very difficult time in the early days. So Tufail ibn Amr ad-Dawsi, radiallahu anhu, he went back to his people to try to give them da'wah. And then he returned back to Mecca, Mukarramah, and he said, Ya Rasulullah, inna dawsan qad asat wa abat fadullah alayha. My people, my tribe of Daws, they have refused the message. They have rejected the message. They don't want to listen. Make dua to Allah against them, that Allah just destroy them. The audacity that they have, that I came and told them very clearly that if you die and you worship other than Allah, you're going to go to the hellfire. You have to accept Muhammad ﷺ as a messenger. He came with that fire. A lot of people who embrace Islam, we have to be careful about this too. They come in guns blazing. They learn about Islam, or even people who are born and raised as Muslims, and all of a sudden you start to become religious. You have to remember that you came perhaps from a background where people weren't exactly trying to be the most righteous. And if all of a sudden you feel inspired to become better, that's wonderful. But you can't expect everyone to be on that same kind of spiritual high that you are on, and then now try to expect everyone to also do the same thing you're doing. It's important also, those of us maybe who might meet someone today, mashallah, we're blessed to witness a shahada. Allah give the brother firmness and keep him steadfast and thabat and istiqamah ala Islam. His brother Jack took shahada. Jack's not here today, is he? We should, if you know him or you're connected to him, for one, you should try to know who he is, and you should try to be connected to him. And be a source of support for him, number one. And then number two, when you meet these people who come into Islam, don't all of a sudden start telling them everything that's haram, and everything that's fard, and everything that they need to do, because you, as someone who's born and raised as a Muslim, still aren't doing everything that you need to do. And we can have that bad habit of projecting what we want for ourselves on people who are now coming into Islam. And then it becomes overwhelming. At this point, you just need to be a source of support for them. You have to show them what good character is. You have to show them what it means to be patient, so that they can grow in their Islam. Most of you know I became Muslim when I was 19. And a lot of the things that I got exposed to now as a Muslim, it required time. You don't just wake up and all of a sudden you're doing everything you're supposed to. And then there are people in your own life that if you're not careful, you will push them away from the beauty of Islam, because they're not ready to hear certain things. You have to first and foremost show them through your actions. You have to show them through good character and be patient with them. So this person, Tufail ad-Dawsi, came in so inspired, very, mashallah, ready to invite all his people. I'm a Muslim now, everyone should become Muslim. But no one listened. No one listened, no one accepted. He came back to the Prophet ﷺ and said, they're stubborn, they've rejected, and they've refused this message. Make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He destroys them. فَاسْتَقْبَلَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ الْقِبْلَةِ وَرَفَعَ يَدَيْهِ وَظَنَّ النَّاسُ أَنَّهُ يَدْعُ عَلَيْهِمْ. So the Prophet ﷺ went and turned and faced towards the Qibla. He faced the Qibla. He raised his hands to make dua, and all the people watching were like, they're finished. That's it for them. He is about to make dua for the destruction, and they're going to be wiped out. And then what did he say? فَقَالَ اللَّهُمَّ اهْدِ دَوْسًا وَأْتِ بِهِمْ. اللَّهُمَّ اهْدِ دَوْسًا وَأْتِ بِهِمْ. He said, "O Allah, guide the people of Daws and bring them in a state of submission." O Allah, guide the people of Daws and bring them in a state of submission. So rather than making dua against them, what did he show Tufail, this person who came in all inspired to try to now force people to become a Muslim? He showed them good character. He showed them what it means to be patient. He showed them compassion. He showed them mercy. And this is also something that we as Muslims should have in our own societies. We have co-workers, we have neighbors, we have strangers that we see at the supermarket, at the gym, at the park, who sometimes may say something inappropriate, who sometimes may laugh or say or do something that is inappropriate. That is not a chance for us now to retaliate. Rather, it's a time to idfa' billati hiya ahsan. It's a time to show something more beautiful and to actually show them what it means to be a Muslim. Nothing else really matters. They don't see us praying, they don't see our fasting, they don't see our charity, but they will see how you treat them. This is our character. And that's why one of the earliest revelations, some of the commentators have mentioned, we all know the first revelation was Surah Al-Alaq, Iqra, Bismi Rabbika alladhi khalaq, right? What was the second revelation? According to many of the historians and commentators, it was Surah Al-Muddathir, where Allah Azza wa Jalla mentions again, بَعْدَ أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ بِسْمِ اللَّهِ الرَّحْمَنِ الرَّحِيمِ يَا أَيُّهَا الْمُدَّثِّرُ قُمْ فَأَنذِرْ وَرَبَّكَ فَكَبِّرْ وَثِيَابَكَ فَطَهِّرْ. Say, oh, one wrapped in a blanket, get up and go warn the people and glorify the greatness of your Lord and clean your clothes. Clean your clothes. This was one of the first commands. Some of the commentators, they mentioned, what does clean your clothes mean? It means make your character good. Because this is what the people will see. When you deal with people, this is what they're going to see. You can't expect to give people da'wah and try to invite them towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when your own character is all corrupted. When your own character is wretched. Rather, you have to be a person of praiseworthy character, so there's a consistency between the beautiful words that you say and then the beautiful actions that you live by. So these are the type of things that we're reminded by. The Prophet ﷺ made dua for the people of Daws. This is one of a number of examples that can be shared regarding his beautiful character, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the character that we will strive throughout our life to develop. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala beautify our character. May Allah ta'ala beautify our character just as He beautified the character of our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May He beautify our character through allowing us to follow and learn and follow the sunnah of our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the highest ranks of paradise through good character. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على النبي الأمي وبارك وسلم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين آمين يا رب العالمين وإياكم بارك الله فيكم. سامحوني إذا طولت عليكم إن شاء الله. I'm sorry if I went a little long. I wasn't sure when I was supposed to stop. MashaAllah.
You're looking for this. It's hanging on you. Oh, I took this one. Yeah,